توتر أبدا، يعني إن شاء الله نشارك ونقدم أفضل ما لدينا، وهذا يوم عظيم إنه اللي تهتم بالديمقراطية لهذه الدرجة.
Children's voices, as represented through the elected members in the Children's Parliament, are now being heard not only in Parliament but across Yemen. Further to this, they are influencing policy to further the rights of children. You have a heavy responsibility in representing the issues of those that have elected you and all children in Yemen. We are listening to what you have to say.
بس شيء رائع جدا، قوة إن شاء الله، يعني نمثل اليمن بشكل جيد إن شاء الله. كل جينا لإخوة اليمن.
Business Latest is brought to you by Catalum, the most efficient and environmentally friendly aluminium smelter. Business Latest is brought to you by Catalum, the most efficient and environmentally friendly aluminium smelter.
All the news, all the time. AlJazeera.net/English.
Can you imagine what 900 trillion cubic feet of gas looks like? Often 10,000 feet below the surface. Now try and imagine the technology needed to extract it. Then distributing that gas to a far-off and energy-hungry world. We believe in pushing technology to its limits. Now try and imagine a world without Qatar gas.
He's taken stolen goods and he's now dumping them onto the world without any sort of consideration for consequences.
From people making the news,
if the North will be saved a lot of trouble, I think it is important that they should come together.
to those it affects.
We do accept that there was very bad mistakes made in our banking area.
Behind the headlines
Most South Koreans are not interested in reunification.
is the inside story. At this time on Al Jazeera.
See the world from every angle and every side. Al Jazeera.
Colonel Gaddafi struggles to hold on to western cities amid reports the east is in the hands of protesters. Celebrations in the city of Benghazi while the international community considers sanctions against Libya. Welcome to the News Hour. I'm Darine Abu Gaida from Al Jazeera News Centers in Doha, Washington and London, bringing you extended coverage on the crisis in Libya.
I'm Nick Clark in Washington, where more reaction to the Libyan uprising is coming in.
But everything will be on the table. We will look at all the possible options to try to bring an end to the violence.
The US Secretary of State leaves the door open to possible sanctions, but says the first priority is protecting American citizens in Libya.
A Libyan general tells Al Jazeera an Air Force pilot refused orders to bomb protesters in Benghazi. And Libya's former justice minister says he has evidence Gaddafi ordered the 1988 Lockerbie bombing.
And I'm Julie MacDonald in London with all the top stories from Europe, including Greece engulfed as 30,000 take to the streets in a countrywide general strike.
So while the international community pushes for sanctions against Libya over Muammar Gaddafi's brutal crackdown, his son says everything is normal. Saif al-Islam has called for Libyans across the country to come together to fight in what he calls a national battle. He says the problem lies in the eastern regions. In the city of Tobruk, that's close to the Egyptian border, there's no presence of security forces in the area. The province of Cyrenaica is also in the hands of pro-democracy protesters, according to Italy's foreign minister, Franco Frattini. And it's the same situation in the western city of Misurata, where army officers have reportedly thrown their weight behind calls for Gaddafi to go. And Tripoli, meanwhile, is set to be on virtual lockdown. It's always been Muammar Gaddafi's stronghold. Lawrence Lee has our report.
Muammar Gaddafi may have used his famous green book in his address to threaten protesters with death, but in the town of Tobruk, this is what they think of it. Here, the commander of the Libyan army has told Al Jazeera that his forces are with the people, not Gaddafi.
I was with him in the past, but the situation has changed. He's a tyrant. I've heard him in his speech. We're not separate. We're not secessionists. We're not asking for separation.
Pictures like this serve to demonstrate the standoff that's now holding in Libya. The people of the uprising say victory will be theirs. Gaddafi remains immune to pressure.
I will not leave the country, and I will die as a martyr at the end.
Everywhere it's tense, the situation fluid. This is the town of Misurata in western Libya, which has reportedly fallen to the opposition. If these new pictures are accurate, then they would seem to bear that out. But the country remains split. This video purports to show the aftermath of fighting on the streets of Tripoli between pro and anti-Gaddafi forces. It's been widely reported from the capital and Benghazi that gangs of yellow-hatted militia have been given free rein to move house to house in the hunt for the opposition. This, Gaddafi's address of Tuesday night, all his tactics have enraged even those who know him well.
He's using mercenaries, not because he wants to use them, because he cannot use the army. He cannot use the armed forces of Libya because they are Libyans and they are faithful and honest people. They will not kill themselves because killing their cousins and uncles and friends, it means that they are killing themselves. So he doesn't trust them. He doesn't trust even his own guard.
What's beyond dispute is the chaos on the streets and the danger which protesters often run headlong into. Here, for instance, there seem to be snipers on the roof of the building opposite. There's a small crack, and a man goes down, shot in the groin. But while the international media is now beginning to find ways into Libya, interpreting the direction events are heading in remains as difficult for people in the country as it does for the outside world. The latest rumour, again unverifiable unless it happens, is that Gaddafi has threatened to blow up his oil pipelines, which would bring havoc to a country already beset by poverty and would have ramifications on oil prices across the world. If that's leading to an exodus of expatriates, then it's this kind of thing which is putting the fear